So, I'm Kyla Marshell, and I'm here with my friend China Moses, who has a beautiful new album out called It's Complicated. It's released independently. It's not on streaming, but it's available via vinyl, cassette, CD. Welcome, China. Thank you so much for joining me.
Well, thank you so much for the invitation, Kyla.
Yeah. So, just tell us about It's Complicated and can you talk about the title? Because when I hear that, I think about the Facebook status.
Well, it did
And
start off with that.
yeah, so tell us about the album and how it came about.
Well, the title just came from the fact that you always have to find a title for an album, and it was really complicated for me to find one. It was an album that stemmed, I have writing spurts, creational spurts, and it was all triggered by a very lonely night in a brand new apartment in a brand new city with a bottle of whiskey and a guitar. And I wrote the first song, it's okay, I'm not alone, which is a blues. And after I just kept on writing and creating and making these melodies and putting these words together, and then after a while I was really searching for a title, and I had all of these titles that everybody thought were really bad because I'm not a good person to find titles. I'm really bad at that. Like my previous album, it's my mom who found the title Night and Tales. So I just kept on saying it's complicated, it's complicated. And one day I was like, I'm just going to name the album that, because not only is it complicated for me to fully explain how and I do music without actually playing an instrument, how I hear music in my head, how I'm a natural singer. It's also just complicated being a human, an adult, a woman. It just applies to so many things. And I think I also got really fed up with the fact that on social media there is an ongoing, you know, just movement of making yourself a better person, and the wellness thing and affirmations, and I'm just like, if we keep on trying to trick ourselves into convincing ourselves that life is not complicated, we're always going to keep on waking up with this hangover, because life just has all these unexpected terms, and life isn't fair, and there's so many things that are um not very positive, but they're actually normal. And if those unpositive things weren't there, we wouldn't be able to appreciate the positive. So it's complicated, and it's okay.
Mm, that is the most in-depth response to It's Complicated
I
I've ever
listen.
heard.
I'm so sorry. I went off on a tangent, but I just want to normalize that things are.
Mhm.
I really feel it's important to normalize that things are complicated, and they're
Yeah.
supposed to be. And you feel so free and so happy when things move smoothly, when you don't have any resistance. But life always makes these radical turns, and if we all kind of accepted that more, I think we'd be less surprised, and we know how to adapt better. I grew up adapting. Jazz is about adapting. It's about being able to adhere to any moment. And I guess that's how I see life. So I thought it was kind of interesting to name the album that, also being that
Hmm.
I present as a very happy-go-lucky person. I did said present.
Present. I hear you. So in terms of being able to accept those complications and apply them to your songwriting, would you say that this is kind of a new turn for you in being able to talk about those complicated parts of life, or have you always been comfortable writing about those
I've
things?
I've actually always been comfortable writing about it. On my very first album that came out in 1998, I wrote a song on how it was complicated about being a woman, and that people don't really prepare you for all the things that life brings when you are a woman. And I wrote that when I was 16. My very first single was about trying to learn how to deal with being a good friend, like everybody kind of taking up your time, and how do you deal with, distributing that time and also keeping time for yourself. I've always been a very observational writer. I think it's because I'm highly inspired by people like Carole King and Bill Withers and a singer-songwriter named Carlin Anderson, who didn't only just write about love like Alan Toussaint. I think it's important to write about other things. Mose Allison. Um, I really enjoy writing about the other aspects of life and love.
Hmm.
Yeah, there's other
Yeah.
people who write the sensual songs much better than I do.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of underexplored things to write about in music.
Yeah, for me and in the world that I evolve in, I I I think it all came from I was a TV presenter for many years, and I think it came from being in touch and confronted to a lot of people who, a lot of people from really varied backgrounds. I would travel a lot throughout France. I was on the streets, I was in tiny villages, hanging out with the farmers. And then the next day I'd be, in the city, in public housing and, hanging out with people there. I think it really was formative for me and a huge advantage to just see the intersectionality of life subjects that we all go through. Even, when it comes down to it, we all kind of just want the same thing. We all want to be cared for, seen, loved, heard, maybe a little money in the bank,
Hmm.
um, and that's all around the world. And as I've now traveled with music, it's continued. And I've always been an observer. And I really want people to leave my concert as if not only that they hear great music, but that I am a part of them and they're a part of me, that we all are just going through this complicated stuff together.
Hmm. Um, so tell me a little bit about I Can Be Happy, the song, and
Oh,
also the video. People should check out the video.
oh, the dating
Um,
song.
the dating song.
Yes.
Tell us about some of that, including the title, I Can Be Happy, not I Am Happy.
Yeah, I can be happy, I can be blue. The full title of the song is actually the chorus. I can be happy, I can be blue, I can be the worst person that you ever knew. And it just comes from I went through a very intense dating period. I am somebody who um just I just have it's just like my writing. I have big creative periods. I was single for a very long time after I got divorced, and one day I woke up and I was like, okay, I need to find a partner now. And so I got on multiple apps and treated it like a job, had a spreadsheet and everything to keep track of all the different conversations with the different wonderful people that I met. I had a whole system in place. And it comes from this one date that I had with this guy who was way too gorgeous for me, way too handsome. Like, it was a no already when he looked better in person than in his pictures, which is very rare.
Okay.
And he sat down and then proceeded to monologue for about 35, 45 minutes about his ex-wife and his mother.
Okay.
And I drank a lot of wine at that point and had decided that he was picking up this bill because it turned into a free therapy session for him. And that therapy wasn't free,
Hmm.
And I went home and wrote this song about the complications of dating. We have so much choice. Everybody wants to love, but not unconditionally. There are so many things that so many lists and things that people come to the table wanting. And I had to teach myself to let go of that list and to just be and think of what were the qualities I inherently wanted in my partner. And I actually met a partner who corresponded to those things. Definitely nothing on the list. Absolutely not in the form or anything. And I think it's very important to address lighter subjects like that, which are actually heavy subjects. Like, most people want to have a partner or multiple partners. Shout out to my
Mm-hmm.
polyamorous people.
Mm-hmm.
Um, no shade. Most people want, we want human interaction.
Yeah.
And I, for years I sang, jazz standards and straight ahead love songs, and this either, oh, I love you so much, or woe is me, someone to watch over me energy. And I was like, in this day and age, we got dating apps. I'm going to make a song about that. And the video
Yeah.
totally reflects that, and it reflects me. What I did is that I had my favorite spot that I would meet everybody at. And that's the video. And all the beautiful humans that I met, were very different physically. Because I wasn't looking for a physique. I was looking for a person to
Yeah.
understand and who would see me and I could see them. So I think it's really, dating fatigue is real, especially in big cities.
Yeah.
And I I tell everybody who's single, listen, treat it like a job. Put that
and
energy into it.
and get an Excel spreadsheet.
Get an Excel spreadsheet. Do not be scared. And also go to therapy, work on yourself. Come to those, you can heal and date at the same time. But you got to manage those expectations. It's better not to have any. And that's a hard thing to unlearn. We can have our basic expectations. Please come to the date, fully dressed and clean, presentable,
Bathed. Yeah.
bathed, pay your rent. But we're all flawed, and that's okay. It's about finding somebody who has, that sweet craziness that goes with yours. That's all it
Mm,
is.
I like sweet craziness.
Yeah. Yeah, we all
Yes.
we all crazy, and it's fine.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Um, well, you are also a radio presenter,
Yes, I
um,
am.
and you're a jazz adjacent person.
Yes, I am.
Um, so tell me why you've chosen to focus on highlighting artists who are jazz adjacent.
Because that's where I live. I don't fit into any category, really. I'm not fully soul or adult contemporary. I'm not fully jazz. I'm not a jazz singer, yet I evolve and have been evolving since 2008 in the jazz network around the world. I've played all the big jazz festivals, and yet, I'm not a jazz singer. So where do I fit? Um, I could also fit under the category of Black American music, and that's what I explain when I do my shows in Europe. But we, and when I come back home to the States, there's always that, conversation about, do we use the word jazz? Jazz is a 4-letter word. Isn't important. We don't like this word. And for me, it's a brand. It's a very good brand. And for a lot of people outside of the United States, jazz means quality. It means
Hmm.
great musicianship. We have to understand that every place has adopted and adapted, you know, the 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 Black American music song, creation, that the gift that our ancestors have given to the world. And they have adopted it and adapted it. and for better or for worse. And so when I started, I've been doing radio since I was 16. I've always had a radio show. And my two radio shows, one in France I've been doing for 10 years, and one in the UK I've been doing for 8 years now. And there's also a lot of great music that doesn't get played. So I started just making playlists that I call jazz adjacent. So I can go from I can play Amina Claudine Myers and back that with Big Yuki with no problem.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's the range. And then you can play a Nappy Nina and then go into Hiatus Coyote with no problem, Casa Overall, and then go back to some Buckshot LaFunk. I think it's really important to show the variety and the range that quote unquote jazz is now, whether you want to call it that or not. It's what the world calls it. It's a brand now. I have no attachment to that word per se, but I do have attachment to the history and to the culture and to what I represent when I travel the world as a Black American woman.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, your mom is an incredible jazz singer, Dee Dee Bridgewater.
Yes, she is.
Um, how has she inspired and influenced you as a performer over the course of your career from that first album in 1998 to now?
My mom always told me to do whatever I want and that I could only do the best with what I had. Um, and my mom is an incredible stage performer. And I have watched my mom my whole life on stage. So I definitely learned from her and inherited from her talking on stage, the introduction to the song, like Nancy Wilson would do, like Frank Sinatra would do, like Lena Horne would do. Like, I talk a lot on stage. Some people even are just like, it's a musical TED Talk for an hour and a half. And I'm like, yep, come get this TED Talk. We're going to talk about life, its ups and downs, its corners, and, you know, some things that we don't think we're going to talk about. It's all going to get covered in this show. And when you go home tonight, you'll probably want to drink. But I learned from my mom that singing on key is not as important as we think. You know, perfecting your tone and your art and your voice is, of course, it's part of my job. But once you're there on stage, that's the last thing you want to think about. You want to think about the people in the room. You want to think about the musical connection between the musicians. You want to listen to the silence and know where you can fit in and what you're linking. You want to be that joining point for the music. I always think that the musicians are like a rainbow of colors, and I'm a prism that has to transform their energy and everything they're putting out into one single light that shines onto the audience for the audience to receive. And then they send back a rainbow to me, and I just act like this interconnection in between the musicians and the audience. And I've seen my mom do that since I can remember.
Mm-hmm.
Um, she taught me that the stage was the fun part, that everything else around it was a lot of work. She taught me to be nice and not fake nice, to be genuinely nice, to really just care about humans, care about the people backstage. The people backstage are just as important as the people in front, are just as important as the people who pay you, just as important as everybody. And she walks with that grace, you know, after 50 plus years of performing and touring the world. So I can only wish and hope to be able to keep that tradition going. You know, it's like
Yeah.
more of a human emotional thing beyond the art. But she
Yeah.
also taught me that it was hard to be a woman band leader and that you're only as good as your band. And sometimes picking the, when you choose your musicians, when you make your band, sometimes you are going to run with a musician that may not be as talented, but their energy is great. And they complete the energy of the band. Perfection is not the key. Um, it's it's the emotional trance of it all. That's what you're looking for. And for that, you have to be somebody who can really observe and w- give space for everybody around you to be their full selves, to be able to interpret what you have brought to the table. So she's taught me a lot, actually, but nothing about singing. Interesting enough.
Yeah.
Every once in a while she'll be like, don't forget to breathe. She'll be like, don't forget to breathe. Don't sing too hard. That's it.
Okay. That's enough. Seems like it.
I mean, it's got me this far.
Yeah.
It's got me this far. I think everything else she's taught me about vocals, she teaches by doing. Every
Mm-hmm.
time I end up singing with her on stage, I always tell the audience, I'm like, you are all going to witness me get vocally slapped right now. And I hope you enjoy it. I will do my best, but this is the queen. I am
Yes.
I'm just a little, I'm part of her DNA. I'm still learning. I have training wheels on.
Mm-hmm. Aw, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. Thank you so much, China. And where can people find It's Complicated and your other music?
Well, It's Complicated can be found on my website, chinamoses.com. I'm also on Bandcamp, and all my other music is on streaming platforms. It's just from this new album that I decided not to go to streaming platforms because my job is not to get playlisted. My job is to tour, to travel, to share, to teach, and to create spaces where people feel safe, seen, and have a good time.
Amen.
That's it.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, Kyla.